Test, test. Test, test. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's AOR Season 27 PC Tier 2 race from Brazil. It is round 15 for the final conclusion of this season's championship, and we have an interesting race upon us, although I'm certain we have already experienced low attendance for later stages of a game circus. So before we head into some statistics, something to look out for tonight, I would like to give a warm welcome from my side. My name is Herman26. I've raced in this league some games back, and although I'm going back on some racing myself, I enjoy commentating for some English speaking leagues at the moment, and this will be a test as well. You have the track map of the Autodromo Carlos Pacha in front of you, and we have well, you know, it's 15 turns, but it's not really, is it? We have turns 11 to 15 who are flat out left-hand kings, and we have good overtaking opportunities into turns 1 and 4. And if you fancy it, if you're on fresh rubber, if we have the opportunity to outduel a slow competitor, you might as well try it into turns 8 and 10 if you fancy it, obviously. We have a very tight and twisty sector 2, which you can lose a lot of time, and potentially also the DRS window to the guy in front of you, even if you're the fastest car on track tonight on the straights. Let's take a look at the drivers in the championship for the current day and time. We have the results from last week's Miami Grand Prix, as we had Thomas, who is already our Drivers World Champion. He took his his 7th win of the season last time out in Miami. We had also McLaren clinch the World Constructor Championship title with Black Miles into, who scored his 3rd podium in a row. He is not with us tonight, and his 2nd place in the Constructors Drivers Championship is already secured. We had Andre Ivan, who scored back-to-back podiums for his Aston Martin team. He was followed by Lovecorn, who's racing for AlphaTauri, and he had Aurelius in P5. Then we had Joker, who can clinch P3 in the Drivers Championship against his teammate tonight. Then we had Magda, Thomas, Rich, and Luke Tim for the points paying position. And we had also 3 DNF of Snox, Andu, and Philip. Just as I mentioned, Joker against Rich, that's the Red Bull internal duel for tonight. They are separated by 9 points. So if any of them would like to fight it out, this might be the time now. Andre versus Shaman, that is Mercedes against Aston Martin for P5. And we also have a 3-way battle between Magda, Valericello, and Thomas for P9 in the Constructors Championship. Some teams might might have an eye on their competitors as well. We have Alpine against Aston Martin for P3, which is gonna be a bit harder than usual since Black Miles is not here and he has back some significant amount of points for them. And then we have Mercedes against AlphaTauri for P5, and then there's also the run for the last position. It's Haas against Williams. Let's see if any of them drivers show up for tonight. And we have to keep an eye out for any position they change and if the math is working for them then. The gaps are quite low as of right now. Yeah, so 2 or 3 places ahead also might change it already. Slamiton und Kova. Okay. I don't speak Finnish, unfortunately, or whatever you're trying to say. Okay, let me switch the scene so we can have a look at the lobby right now. Just being put together. Obviously, there's a short qualifying of 18 minutes again, and we have 36 laps of Brazil tonight. Oh, we are readying up, so I assume it's only 8 drivers for tonight, which I can understand. Every league struggles with that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look at the attendances for tonight. And we're into the first segment of tonight's event, which is qualifying, as I just mentioned. And I'm interested to see if there is any potential whether the drivers have to battle through, because Brazil is known for some rain, also some very heavy rain and a lot of changing weather throughout its course of the event. Let's see if the qualifying is affected by that at the start. No, it is sunny here tonight, and we have everything set up. And I'm still checking who is with us tonight. So this no. It's also no. Okay, so with 0 Williams, that might be a good shot for Haas. And we also have no Alpine, so Aston Martin with 2 drivers have a chance of taking away that P3. And P5 was AlphaTauri against Mercedes. None of them are here, so that does not change anything. Andrew's probably gonna take P5 then, because these are not here, not here, not here. Yeah, so basically it's just look out for the both Red Bulls. They have a personal duel they want to conclude here tonight, and with 9 points, that's and that's a spin. The Aston Martin of Andre Ivan has spun up the hill for turn 6, but nothing has happened there. But his teammate Laricello is already on a fast lap. Let's go on board with the Aston Martin for the first run on this track tonight. He brakes later than the 50 meters, brings the car in with 3rd and then 4th gear, uses a bit of the exit curve out of the CNAs, not everything. Early upshift into 8th, trying to hit the 100-meter mark as a braking spot. Oversteer moment as he steps on the throttle a bit too early. Moves out to the very narrow infield of this track. Late downshift to 5th, immediately followed by an upshift to 6th. And there's a very understeer moment for him as he tries to bring the car in for turn number 8 and 9. The Albon Hamilton incident of 2019 corner just has passed this point as well, and the last rebraking point chooses an early upshift into into 5th gear and is now running, or at least I'm hoping he's running the closest line to the start finish line. Not really, but it's always good to get an early banker in. So that's 1 minute 9.4 for the Aston Martin, as we have the second also on a run, but just starting his rear one now, I would assume. Yeah, let's see how his teammate compares. We go on board again. Yeah, very similar run through the first 3 turns. No early upshift into 8th. And he got the braking and the acceleration sorted, so there was no oversteer moment for him. We got 6 gear throughout, turn 7, 6 and 7, as Rich puts in the new fastest time of the session. Oh, bit slidey on the rear for Andre now. And he moves into turn number 10. Very stable rear for him there. He is up by 0.6 of a second compared to his previous set banker time. Snox already has set in time as well. That is fast enough for P3 at the moment. Let's see what improvement Andre can do, and he is up into P2. Beats his teammate by almost a whopping second and has put in a 9.3. Is still 7 tenths behind Rich, and Aurelius has put in a 1 minute 10.0 at the moment. And then we have the championship leader, who is currently climbing up the hill and is making sure that is the new fastest time of the session. Very low on ES, has used everything of it. 1 minute 8.6, as well as we have a retiree in the pit lane, that is Philip. And he will be setting no time. And everyone now has set a time, as Joker has moved into P3 with a 1 minute 8.818. And Bunke says, I'm just here to watch the Red Bulls implode at turn 1. Yeah, that would be very, very funny if they both crashed out. And speaking of crashing, you have guaranteed points here tonight. Don't risk it for the biscuit. If you're not close to your competitors in qualifying, don't try to overcook your car in terms of performance during the race. Just complete the 36 lap, sign out, and bag them points. That is really the top advice I can give you to these drivers. I myself have raced a couple of 100 times on this track, and I can tell you that, especially in the rain, the track can call you out, can catch you out, and you will be looking at 0 points. The walls are still close in some areas, but generally the high-speed zones, or let's say the zones where you can decelerate from high speeds, like turns 1 and 4, you always have this like slight opportunity of people crashing into each other and you're just a passenger. into a pile up, and there's a very narrow sector 2, which also can result in a lot of rear end collisions running wide on curbs or at the exit over the grass, and then your car and your tires are dirty, and then you're at risk of losing it and crashing out. And I wouldn't be surprised if there would be a safety car. Laricello is now completing his second timed run of this session, and he is currently into P3, also sets the 1 minute 8.6. And the first 3 drivers are only separated by 1/10 of a second. That is, quite frankly, very nice to see, especially when you only have 7 drivers who can actually set times now. And we have the Haas in our picture. Very beautiful livery, if you ask me. But there's some time to be found, I would assume, for Snox. He is currently approaching the second sector line and is half a second up, but runs really wide at the exit of Jiangzhou. That might compromise or will compromise his run up the hill. Is he aborting the lap? No, he's continuing. 9 minutes to go, and he goes into P5. Just over half a tenth ahead of Andre. And some time will be found there, I would assume. As Rich just sets the fastest lap of the session, and that looked like some toe on the main straight from or for the second Red Bull, and there's a 4/10 lead in terms of time over the current world champion Tommaso. Thomas. Yeah, something like Thomas, but Thomas, more Finnish. So let's see if the slipstream was for Joker, who's currently inside the second sector. Just passes the just mentioned McLaren. And then we have Snox probably into the pit lane as he just completed a lap we already saw. And there is a new sector time for the Red Bull. It is only 1/10 better than the previous attempt. And let's see if he completes it. He does. Up to the line. 1 minute 8.6. He found just over 2/10 in terms of time. And is also into the 8-minute 6s. As his teammate just improved out of that section and he just got back into it. So we are back again with 3 drivers on the 0.6. And Andre... Is Andre approved as well? Not so sure. No, he's on the in-lap. Yeah, okay. We will see about that. Santu says, let's go Thomas. Yeah, let's see. He has 2/10 of improvement in his back right now. There's this flat out part, which usually you can only gain if you miss the exit of the last turn in front of the straight. And he goes into P2. And he improves by 3/10 of a second. And is very close to Rich. But he probably didn't have a toe yet. And if McLaren want him to be in P1, then they might look at the same strategy Red Bull has already pulled off. There was a slight bit of oversteer at the exit of 1 for Laricello, who just started a new fastest lap. I would not assume that was faster. Yeah, it was slower. And he runs wide again. Turn 4 at 2.5 is not his favorite bit, I would assume. He has struggled with that so far in the session. He is close to P1. It's only 4 tenths. And the next car ahead is... the next car behind is further away from him than P1 is. So he's trying to look in front of him, but with this lap time he will not find the improvement he needs. And currently, a 10th is already one position for him. Which is still good. And he aborts the lap, and we are inside the last 5 minutes of the session. And we still have to figure out if Andre has some lap time in his car. It is only a gap of 2.5 seconds. Just lower than that. And also the 63 thousandths of a second from Thomas to Rich are nothing in the world of Formula 1. That is just being a bit earlier on the throttle out of a very important braking zone. That is braking just a tiny bit later than the previous lap time. The track will improve. There's some natural track evolution in this game. You get to grips with the car more. You've done some laps previously to see where your limits were. You tried maybe something that didn't work. As more and more drivers peel out of the pits now. Unfortunately, Aurelius is the only driver who's currently further than a second away from P1 as we go to Snox on his one of his later runs, I would assume. There's not much time left. Going back into the pits won't cut it, so he has to put in a performance now and maybe has fuel for another opportunity. He is up by 2 tenths, but that braking was just a bit slow. So he might have defeated that improvement he just gained into the braking zone of 4. Oh, and he's loose on the exit of 7. And there's understeer to 8 and 9 as well. Yeah, this is 15, 14. That's 11. So that's 10. Let me check on the track map something here. Okay, that little bend in front of turn 10 is not a turn, okay. And turn 12 is Jiangzhou, okay. I needed the big map because I was confused with the counting of the corners. Okay, we have Aurelius. Let's go with the second McLaren. Andrea's on his lap, Lario Ciello's on his lap. And there might be a slipstream coming up for Aurelius. And that is also at the same time the start of the lap for Thomas. Yeah, there's some slipstream for the McLaren. Let's see where he can put his car. It's a 1 minute 9.6. That's a good improvement, but unfortunately that means that is the maximum P7 for him. Andre has done a second outlap again. There's also a second outlap for Flaricello. Both Red Bulls on an outlap, so that one crossing the line right now is probably and very likely not on a flyer. So Thomas, our world champion. Oh, and he throws it away and he's into the wall. The McLaren of Thomas crashes out the exit of turn 8. And there's no way he can improve now. And that is the maximum P2 for him now. There's an invalid lap time from Andre. So he can't improve as of right now, and he needs to get back over the line with 40 seconds to go. There is a current fastest lap attempt from Joker inside the second sector. Let's look at his new session time for the moment, as he is almost 3/10 up, and there might be a tow now for from the Aston Martin. He is in a good spot, as the Aston Martin has to get on with it. He needs another lap to improve. Joker happily takes that slipstream, and he goes into... No, he stays in P4. He stays in P4. He has improved his lap time, but he couldn't improve on his timing. So Flaricello has also spun it. He can't improve. Is there another lap time for Snox? No, he's also invalid. And now Joker is the... No, Rich is the next car to cross the line. Can he improve on his advantage? No, he backs out of it. He backs out of it. Doesn't really want to show his final form, I would assume. And that's it for qualifying. That's it for qualifying. When it came down to the final moments of this session, everyone, apart from Joker, could not improve. Thomas crashed. Rich backed out. Joker, invalid. Or maybe the last attempt, if there was any, was not good enough for anything. He improved by a tiny bit, even with the slipstream. But it wasn't fast enough. Laricello spun. Knox was invalid. And Aurelius had an improvement, but it's still 4/10 behind. P6. Let's take a look at the final result for the qualifying session here for the main T2 finale from Brazil. We have Rich in front of Thomas by just 0.06 of a second. Then Andre for Aston Martin is in third. Then we have Joker, Vlaricello, Snox, Aurelius, and Philip, who unfortunately crashed in the pit lane exit as he wanted to go out for a run. So his pace is the unknown, and we have 5 drivers who are inside half a second, and then it's probably gonna be a tricky race for P6, 7 and P8. And there is also no rain at the start of this session. It is somewhat cloudy, so just light clouds. What's the official wording? It's clear. Light cloudy, I think it is. And it's overcast, wet and very wet. So with this pace, I would assume Rich is gonna take P3 away from his teammate. We can look into the garage of Philip, and he has some spare softs. He has a huge amount of spare softs because he didn't set any lap time. So all of them are untouched, as is probably the medium he is they packed for him for qualifying. So he has 4 brand new spanking soft, 2 new mediums and 1 hard. And my strategy call would be that people are will be starting on the mediums and will pit on lap 21 to go to the soft tire. That is at least the strategy I was using to almost win a race from 2 weeks back. So that is a viable option. If there's a VSC, obviously you could go for the hard tire if you don't start on it, and that is probably the best to do after lap 10. So lap 10 is on the crossover, and after that it's still tough, but it's obviously a huge undercut. You lose less time, and then you will have some buffer. And there's a formation lap for these drivers.
The formation lap gets underway, and the excitement here is building as we near
The broadcast formation lap.
Start of the race. Which team will come out
in terms of tires,
got their strategies right for today's race?
We have only Aurelius on the hards, which to me suggests he's not running the best optimal strategy I was just talking about. Because only hards to soft would make sense, really. As we end the broadcast formation lap to have people on the grid. The uphill acceleration at the start, especially when you lower down the field, is without question still tricky. As we go to 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix in season 27 for all AOR, and it's lights out and away we go, and there's a good start for the front through, and Thomas is into P1 after turn 1, and there's a swap for P3 momentarily as Joker is battling Andre now. They're side by side. He's pulling out now the Aston Martin that is. No, that's against Rich. He's taking away the position of Rich now, so that's 2 positions lost now. And Joker is down into P5 as well, as there's the inside of turn 5 open, and there's a spin for Joker. There was Snox on the inside, and the Red Bull has spun out at the acceleration point up the hill towards turn 6, as the interval timing is all over the place. That is not 5 thousandths away from the Aston Martin, as we need some data here. Can see that the timer will fix itself soon, but Thomas is probably, he is already on 33% of ERS as he sets the fastest lap, obviously. Now he's also not 1 minute ahead. Why are you doing this game? And Philip is close to Aurelius, who's on the harder tire. That is obviously gonna be a struggle. Thomas is just that dominant. He's already pulled 1 minute 12 ahead of the next guy. And Rich will be furious at the start because he lost 2 positions. But his teammate spun, and he's currently taking that P3 away, as I just mentioned before. And the first gap is starting to open up between Snox and Aurelius, since the second McLaren can't keep up with the pace of the Haas. And by the looks of things, the gap between the first Aston Martin and the McLaren is over a second, so there won't be any DRS at the start of the 3rd lap into turn 4 for the Aston Martin that is currently in P2, but there's might be an overtaking opportunity now for Floricello against Rich. He's on the outside and he has completed a move, but he is vulnerable for a counter attack as he ride on board with the Red Bull. There's the DS now. He is on some huge energy reserve, sorry. But he can't complete the move, and is not willing to put more of an effort into, as Philip has just run wide at the exit of 5. And Joker is just trying to get back into rhythm, I would assume. This part of the track, if you lose the car there, your car feels snappy and you don't really trust it. So that might be a confidence downer for him. But at the moment he's still running, although he probably won't like his tires as of right now. And he has battery charge to use. And you should, as these drivers have demonstrated. 14%, that's crazy. I think that's a lot early on, but maybe that's the reason why he's the champion. I have no idea. There's a DS train forming behind, and right now Slox is trying to keep up with the guys in front, but it's the Aston Martin duo leading the Red Bull, leading the Haas. And after that it's just gaps. Let's see how they manage. They have the exact same amount of ERS, but the Red Bull has more. And the Haas has even more. Which is not unsurprising, since they both haven't used any and are at the back of the train, so you naturally use less, sorry, mix up two words. And there might be an overtaking opportunity. I don't want his rear wheel, I want this rear wing. There might be an Aston Martin 1v1 into turn number 4. And there's a lift-off. Have you seen this? There's a lift-off on the throttle from Andre. Let Valaricello pass to take P2 from him. And there's a DNF. We have a DNF and there's a safety car. This Aurelius has lost it at the exit of 4. He lost it at the exit of 4 and spun into the wall on the left hand side of turn 5. That's a huge crash. The wheels chopped off at the front. But in terms of strategy, these drivers would like to extend it now, I would feel. The hearts don't go the rest of the distance that there is at the moment. Sorry. The air quality in my room is very shitty tonight. Because of my neighbor, I have to keep my window closed. And everyone else is coming in, except for Valaricello. See if Philip comes in as well. He stays out. So the thing is, with new fresh tire, okay, I'm surprised to win for the hards. My strategy call would be mediums to softs. Do a 2-stop. Don't do hards too soft. Especially if there are no other people who might cause a safety car. But I don't know this league that much in terms of the drivers. So Andre opted for the aggressive strategy, and that will probably result in a 2-stop. Which, to be honest, I think is also the case for everyone on the hards, because the safety car will probably peel into the pits at the end of lap 7, so at the end of next lap, and that means there are still 30 laps to go for these tires, and that they won't make. They won't survive that. And not only in terms of the tire wear, but also in terms of the time. But like in contrast, for example, there's a huge percentage usually gained for the tires in Hungary, which these drivers have raced on in the earlier part of the season. But if you look at the times, the 50 or even 60% used tires at the end of each stint, which usually included the medium to soft strategy, are still faster than an undercut onto the hards 4 or 5 laps earlier. So you look at the undercut of 5 laps, but then you still look at the gap difference in terms of the pace from the soft to the hard by over a second up into the later stages, because the soft just doesn't drop off really, just like 3 or 4 laps to the end, and the hard tire is just outpaced at every exit of the corner. So, and there are a lot of 180 degrees corners which you need to get right to at the end of the lap. And although this is not really the track with the highest downforce, let alone the highest tire wear in general, you need to pit again from the hards. And most of them will probably try to go long for soft, I can assume. I can also see maybe that there's a try to go in when it fits, like maybe go in with Andre and then also pit a medium. We are on board with Laricello, who has pulled the trigger now. The safety guy's in, and Philip, who has stayed out, is now under pressure from the McLaren of Thomas, but he is not passed into the first turn. And generally speaking, the 7-lap-old mediums are not that bad to be on right now, but fresh tires are better. Maybe the hards in some laps time, but not as of right now. There's a battle for P6 as we see Joker going weird with his Snox, who had a poor restart. That has been sorted, and on the outside Thomas takes P2 away from Philip, and there's Aston Martin looking racy. He takes the outside line for turn number 9 and is on the inside. Oh, that's very close, and there's a 3-second time penalty for Andre, and he does not need that. He needs to get a move on. He needs to pass these drivers since he's on the alternate strategy. He needs to make sure, he needs to make sure he pushes his tires to the maximum, to the outer limits, because he is on the extra 2-stop with the better tire, and he's now moving to the inside of Philip and or Philippe, and he has passed the Ferrari and is still inside the DRS window of the guys in front, but he's on 21% of ERS after just 1 lap of green flag racing, and Joker has passed Snox. Into P6. It looks like he's liking them hards as of right now. Maybe he was just caught out by the early spin on lap 1. What lap was he? At the end of 7, so maybe it was lap 5. That's Aurelio. And there is a passing attempt from Thomas onto Laricello, and Philip has just been passed by Ridge as Snox receives a 3-second time penalty, and the McLaren moves back into P1 after the safety car phase. Laricello stayed out. There's probably going to be a swap between the Aston Martins now. Well, that seems to be a bit more racy, and it was on the outside of the track even. Oh, and there's a There's been an illegal overtake between the Aston Martins because one was on the outside of the track. And that's bad news because they just lost the DS window. They couldn't decide if they wanted to let each other pass again because Andre is now in the faster strategy. And he should be getting the go because both Red Bulls are behind now. And both of them, Aston Martins, are on an alternative strategy compared to the Red Bulls. And there was Snox who ran wide and didn't receive the DRS as a result of that. And Thomas is already 2 seconds ahead now. And I would assume there's a swap now. And Philip's struggling. And before the DRS has been opened, there's a pass. But that took some time away from them still. And Rich is into P3. And there's now a task to close the gap to Andre, who is on the better tire for some distance of the race now. But if he can stay inside the DRS, that's gonna be tough. Putting some notes down as we watch the Red Bull heading into turn 1 at the start of lap 12, so 1/3 of the distance has been covered already. And we have seen a safety car because Aurelius has crashed out at the exit of 4, probably running wide over the curb. We will be just approaching, and Snox passes Philip. And then you can see the tire marks on the track. You can see the tire marks on the track where the McLaren steered off into the wall. Currently, Rich is keeping close company to Andre, and Andre has also a 3-second time penalty. That is currently Romania versus the United Kingdom. For P2, and the other Aston Martin v Red Bull behind. This is currently also looking good for the Red Bull because there's an alternative strategy Blaricello wants to go to. That is probably the medium soft I discussed at the start of the race. And he has to bring them to the end of lap 21 as we have another safety car for a spin caused by Snox, and he has steered into the wall, and now there's a prime opportunity for Flaricello and Philip to pit onto new hards, which most of the other runners, including the race leader Thomas, Rich and Joker, don't have a second hard, I would assume. So they need to be on a 2-stopper from now on anyway, because the medium won't do the distance that is currently required to the end. It is 23 laps. At the end of the safety car phase, maybe 21. Yeah, that's close. That's close. That is like the usual distance. So maybe it was even better for the guys on the hards right now. You can't do the soft. If you put the soft on now, you need to go again for another soft. So it's still good. It's still good for Andre and Philip, who doesn't pit. That is some Ferrari strategy level, my guy. What? That is some strategy level. There's a There's a soft strategy for both Red Bulls now. I'm confused. I only think Snox is on the best tire choice right now. What is happening? Thomas stayed out. I don't think that's the best call. Philip stayed out. The worst call of them all. Andres pitted for Hearts. Good call. Laricello pitted for Hearts. Good call. Rich and Joker. They have even the second best strategy option. Maybe even the best. Because the Hearts won't go the distance. He has put them on lap 6. Even with the 2 safety car laps at the after he pitted on the first phase, and with the second phase running behind the safety car and some conserving them, you won't make it with enough pace. Like, you don't have to go to field, but the field is not huge tonight. Rich and Joker have the pace to outduel both Aston Martins, who are in the Hearts and will be going to the end, if there's no other safety car. And they can outduel Philip by a long mile. Because their fresh Hearts are just gonna outpace Philip, and unfortunately he doesn't have that pace the top 6 basically have. Because Snox is somewhat in between and Aurelius has already retired from the race. That is some question mark of a century, that Ferrari strategy I've just seen, and McLaren is also like a very, very shit idea in my opinion. But I stand corrected otherwise. Like, he can make the tires last without a blow up, yeah, but the pace will be significantly worse. So Andre, who has some pace despite the penalty, just basically needs to pass Philip. Don't battle too much with Rich and Joker when they approach, and just keep it clean behind them inside the DRS. No more penalties. Even if there's a 5-second gap from Thomas, then he has the prime opportunity later on. So let's see what happens. I'm just gonna add to my notes that the Red Bulls have decided for the double soft, and that Aston Martin is doing hards till the end of this race, and Snox best option. And Tomas has pulled the trigger at the safety car restart. He is far away, but we will be looking at this duel between the Aston Martin and the Ferrari, and that is the move that Andre needed as of right now, and he has passed the Ferrari, and Rich is probably gonna do the same as well now. There's a huge overspeed, better cornering and exit for the Red Bull, and he is into P3. I don't get it, Ferrari. What have you been smoking? And there's an oversteer moment for Floricello. Them hearts were not ready, and there's a Snox on the inside, and they just touched. There's no wing damage, and there's a Ferrari going off. My guy, you don't have the grip anymore. Which is not surprising, because you've been on them for this whole race. And to salvage this, he needs to stay out another 6 laps to go onto the softs. Safety car restart was lap 16. Andre, Rich. And Thomas has not pulled away, and there is no DRS at the moment. But Andre looks racy. Is he pulling to the inside of turn 4? No, he's not. He has used some of his battery to get closer to the McLaren, but crucially, Thomas has not pipped him to over a second of an advantage. unfortunately did not put down how many wins everyone had. But I know that Thomas has 7 and Blacksmith has like 4. So that's already 11 out of 14 races we have completed. There's a side-by-side moment at the entrance to Jiangzhou. I've just been surprised as you have been, because the camera didn't really show that. Because we got the downhill mirror. And there's a freeway fight into turn 1. Who's gonna come out on top? And then McLaren loses both positions. Is Rich gonna pull through? No, he is still in second. He pulled to the outside of turn 1 on the McLaren, and is the only driver with some sort of ERS left to attack the front-running Aston Martin. But he decides not to do so, as Joker has closed the gap to Vlari Chow, who himself has just overtaken the Red Bull. Because there was just the information I wanted to give you, that there's a gap over a second between P3 and 4. Yeah, this camera I was talking about. And there's a spin for Snox. No! Oh no! There's a repass. No, there's a new race leader. That is Rich for you. You also set the fastest lap of the race now. And Larry Cello's into the DRS zone. The DRS window of Thomas, who is probably struggling with his tires. They are already 13 laps old. And he needs to cover more of 2/3 of the race distance on them. And he has still more than 1/3 of the race distance to go. As we probably will be seeing both Red Bulls into the pits at the end of... There's a new time penalty, and it's the second one for an Aston Martin driver. As now only 3 remaining drivers have not received the penalty for track limits, and Thomas is struggling massively. He has just lost the DRS to the car in front, and he is now vulnerable to Vlaricello and Jokery, both passing him on the main straight. There's no power for him. He can't use the DRS because he's only on 20%. To the outside goes the Aston Martin. Is an opportunity for the Red Bull? No, there is not. But there's a second DRS zone into turn 4. And the fresh soft... Oh, there's a moment! There's a moment for Flaricello. He has run wide at the exit of 2. And there's a repass from the McLaren. Now there is an opportunity to the inside, maybe for the Red Bull. If he outbrakes him, he is close there. He puts the nose in. They're racing side by side, and he is on top. He has the inside line for turn 4 and 5. And there's an outside move for the Aston Martin. He goes around the outside of turn 6 up the hill, and he has completed it by turn 7. And he's new into P4 now, as the McLaren of Thomas is moving down the order to P5 now. His tires are screaming at him, "Get me off, I need new rubber." And the McLaren pit crew is looking in the spies as they see their current already crowned drivers world champion going down to P5 and probably still needs to make a pit stop, as I discussed in the safety car phase. And there's now a battle for P1 evolving in the favor of Rich, because he's still on the fresh tires. He has more than half the performance in them to go. Like, there's more than 6 laps he can stay on them and extend that gap to the guy in behind him. And Thomas just pitted. That must be the softs. He's on the softs. Okay, he salvaged it. He doesn't stay out any longer. Maybe that was his plan after all. Stay questionable in my choice. Why don't you pit for a new medium? Philip is still running the mediums as he needs, and Flaricello spins just like he did in... No, that was an Andre in quali. Fuck, I didn't didn't put that down. And that's costly because he will be finishing the race on them tires. And probably would have liked a bigger gap to Thomas, who is now at the back of the pack. And there's a gap of 24 seconds to P1. And we'll be keeping an eye on the gap as soon as the pit window opens for both Red Bulls. We're currently looking to finish a 1-2 race here because McLaren have screwed massively on the pit stop under the second safety car. So there was 21 was Laricello's spin. And I think lap 19 is Rich takes a lead. And then lap 20 was Thomas down 235. Pits after that. The gap at the front has now reached the 1 second mark as Thomas has already dislodged Snox. Andre is doing a good job. The tires of Rich and Joker will be dropping soon. Here Snox can't keep up with the driver in front. He needs to be using more airs as well at this stage to get something out of his time. There's a new fastest lap for Thomas on a 1 minute 10.7, but I would assume that is not the final fastest lap we'll be seeing. That's either Joker's or Rich's to take, because Rich is only 2 tenths behind and he will be putting on a new set of softs very soon, as Snox receives a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. And his car will be lighter. It's later in the race. The track is more rubbered in despite us only having... Philip is still on his tires. I just realized, bro, you had to pit like 2 laps ago. And Thomas is taking that invitation on the inside of turn 10 to pass the Ferrari, who's not going to keep up with him. Yeah, probably 2 tenths of a advantage of Thomas will be melted into the ground by a probably low 10 point something, a low 10 for Rich or either Joker. That is, I don't understand. Philip, what are you doing? You have a guy who just passed you, who just pitted 3 laps earlier, and you still don't think the softs don't make it, or what? That was probably a soft strategy for you on the table as well, because you are the only driver who has not used any tires in the qualifying. And you're still trying to say me that 24 laps on the mediums is the go-to strategy right now. I'm baffled. I'm confused and a bit frustrated. And there's a pit stop for Joker with 9 laps to go. So Red Bull have pulled the trigger on the first car. Let's see what the gap to P1 is and where Joker will be coming out, because Thomas has undercut him actually now. And that is good for the McLaren driver, who will be desperately trying to get back on the podium. And Andre is still keeping up with Rich, who needs to pit now because he's under threat of an undercut from his teammate, and Thomas is already into the net race lead after this pit stop. And he receives a 3-second time penalty as I just say that. So Rich is currently, with Joker, in the prime position to not only win this race, take P3 in the Drivers' Championship because he's in front of Joker, but also to conclude this season with a Red Bull 1-2. I think there might be second in the Constructors Championship. They've not pitted. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Andre needs to continue, but Rich has not pitted. Snox just run wide. They're battling. I just didn't see the points on the... Yeah, Andre has passed them. Sorry to miss that. Philip is now into the pits. Please don't put the hards on. I swear to God. Please put on the softs. Thank God. Okay, so Joker and Thomas are probably both undercutting Rich right now, who is not on penalties. Joker is not himself, but there will probably be no DRS for Joker at the start. Okay, I was about to question this. That's too late, in my opinion. There's like 9 laps to go and you put them on for 13. I think the management Joker has done is better. Like, obviously, yeah, he has been in the DRS from Andy. Yeah, Joker is probably, yeah, Joker just had a low 10.3 and is into the net race lead because he's less than 3 seconds behind Thomas. And that currently means he's taking the win. But it's also close. It's under a second. 5 seconds for Snox. Yeah, so... Yeah, Rich. Yeah, obviously he has fresher tires now by 2 laps. That helps in general, but I would assume he could have done it with pitting a lap earlier anyway. Like, you don't need to go through the stress of trying to close the gap between drivers who are on a similar level of pace and are closer to each other, especially with Thomas just pulling into the DRS window of Laricello. Then you need to also pass the guy who's on the other tires. You use more of your tires to make up the gap, and then you don't have as fresh of a set of tires like you think you would. There's probably gonna be an overtaking opportunity. Yeah, and I haven't even completed the sentence. Thomas has moved past Laricello into second place. Runs wide. Both run wide at the exit of 4. And there is a hunt from the Red Bulls now to close the gap to the front. And let's look at the gaps again. That's 17 seconds with 9 laps to go. Laricello takes another penalty for his troubles. And there's a spin for Laricello on top of that now. He was so confused by the penalty probably that he took the car for a spin now. So that's 6 seconds for Philip and Laricello and 11 for Snox. So my thinking currently is that the amount of laps left, especially for Rich who pitted late, even with the 3-second time penalty, might not be enough. Because they're not going at the pace they should. Laricello comes into the pits. Good choice. He has our pit stop behind. And he's gonna be in the freshest softs on the grid because Snox has already pitted, but his pace is just not fast enough, and he can't beat any of these drivers to the fastest lap. Has Rich improved on his previous best? Not yet. He is pushing right now, I think. See what the telemetry tells us. He's on 36% ERS. and he's into the DRS of his teammate. That helps obviously with the fastest lap. And the gap is not coming down by much. So as I said, for me Snox was in the prime position because of the tires, but his pace has not been there. So the next thing was either Rich, but I think he was too late on his tires. So Andrew just turned into the best option in terms of the race win, because his next opponent, that's a 0.11 on the dot. As you see that Rich has lost 3 positions starting from pole. Yeah, it has not been faster. I would assume Laricello is gonna beat that fastest lap soon. And yeah, with 6 laps to go and Thomas pace not being there, Andre is in a prime position to win this. Like, his tires are gonna wear out, but they are on a prime step in a good window. Softs are probably not gonna... Oh, Snox has retired. Oh no, there's a safety car. I just said Andre is in the best position and there's a safety car because Snox bottles it. Again, in this NS. So that's a Joker Rich win. Congratulations. Yeah, Andre just been fucked by Snox. Unfortunately. I apologize sincerely for the caster's curse, and I do not intend to send any apologies to Aston Martin just for Andre. That's a bummer. That's gonna be, in terms of like racing, pure racing, it's gonna be interesting. Rich has stayed out, but Tomasz and Joke have pitted. So they're even on the fastest tire now. And Andre, I would assume, is also coming into the pits. Just give me a second. I need to... The share will have a great commentary, but only 7 drivers. I appreciate that, whoever said that in the dear chat. So, the Aston Martin is into pits. Rich is now also in the pits, so I would assume they both passed the safety car, because I saw we were on board with Andre, who passed the safety car, but yeah, Rich was still 17 seconds behind, so maybe that cost him. Maybe that cost him now. He's going again, and the safety car has not been catched by Andre. No, Rich stays ahead. Oh, does he? He does not. Does he? No, he doesn't. Thomas is into P2. But still has a 30-second time penalty to his name. So it's Rich against Joker. And Laricello is in for another stop. So we have even less racing. That's crazy, like, how are you catching up to the safety car now? I've just been catched, okay, never mind. That's maybe only the 3 laps. Yeah, end of lap 33 we're gonna get racing. Yeah. 33. Yeah, end of 33, so that's 34, 35, 36, and that might be only DRS for 1 lap. It's enabled on the 3rd lap after the safety car. Which is technically 37, because at the end of 33 DRS is enabled on the lap of 3 at the start. So there will be DRS for the last lap in both zones. Because there's a detection point for turn 2, where the Ferrari or Philip is just going through. So you have DRS on the second straight, and then you have DRS on the last straight. So if I was Joker, I would be thinking about that precisely, because even if he passes Rich early on, he should make himself a target for the last lap on the straight. To be honest, if you are more than 6 tenths behind, you don't really have an opportunity to take someone before the line. And even with, like, if you move to the inside, then the driver on the outside can still be somewhat pushed until you reach the line. So you need a really good exit. We're still not racing. Is Floricello? Don't think he has put the pace in. We have another safety car lap. So that's no DRS. Forget what I just said. I don't think Barrichello was going at full pace. And I don't know why, because his teammate needed every extra lap he could get. That's confusing. Because Philip was like 3 seconds ahead, and Barrichello was like 3 seconds faster every lap than him, so... That might be assumptions, but that Aston Martin dot on the track map was not pulling in fast. Yeah, so 2 total laps of racing then, I guess. Yeah, so that has increased Rich's win possibilities to 100% now. Because the DRS not being there means that Joker has to pass him on track 100% by himself. Like, there's no assistance from the DRS on 2 straights. Because both of them, as it stands right now, have achieved the 1-2. I will keep this on the leader gap. And the penalties for you. Everyone is in the softs, forget this. So we look at this now. P5 and P6 will stay the same. That was very early for an Andre. But we are racing for the final 2 laps of this season. As Barrichello puts to the inside of Philip and has passed him for P5. And we will be looking at the rear wing from Andre, who is under threat from Thomas. That is the fight for P3 at the moment. And the Red Bulls are taking it somewhat cautiously. They are pulling on the ERS. But Andre has to remember he needs some left for this straight. The next find a short one into turn 4, and then for the last time they take the hill up until the line, and there's Barrichello who has almost spun again. Let's see what the situation is here. They're on the same amount. Is there an overtaking opportunity? There's a fastest lap of a 1 minute 10.0 for Andre. And Joker has almost dropped to 2 seconds. Thomas goes to the inside. Sticks his nose in. They're side by side through 5. Still side by side up the hill towards 6. And into 7th. Oh, there's some good racing on this last lap of the season. Oh, there's some wheel banging. And there's a loss of grip for Andre. And he's received another time penalty on the outside. So that's a net P4 guaranteed. But there won't be any time. No resources left for the world champion. Oh, there's some racing between the Red Bulls. This is for the win. Let's see who can do it. Thomas is gonna cross the line in first. But there's a side-by-side battle between Joker and Rich. Joker's on the inside. And he takes the win from Rich. It's a Red Bull 1-2 in Brazil tonight. And they were having a party with a certain energy drink they've sponsored on their car. What an effort from the team that is based in Milton Keynes. And what a season finale, racing side by side throughout the last bit of the track. Thomas takes the win on track, but is demoted to 3rd after penalties. Wow. Not so sure if they did that on purpose, because the exit seemed legitimately bad from Rich, but here we are. That's the Red Bull 1-2. Oh yeah, sorry, I have the particles off. And my voice is gone somewhat. P4 was... last lap was... Andre penalty. Just gonna take some screenshots for Joker maybe. He needs them. So that's Joker taking the race win at the flag. It's 33 thousandths of a second towards the teammate of him, which is Rich. It's a British 1-2 as well. We have Thomas, who had a very questionable strategy but came back with the safety car into P3. Then Andre, who was looking to take a good result in P4 with the fast lap. Varlicello, Philip are the only other 2 finishers, and Snooks and Aurelius have not seen the checkered flag. And that has been the main tier F2 for season 27 of AOR Racing. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and maybe we see ourselves in the new season on on F1 24 for probably season 28, I would assume. So if you enjoyed it, leave a like on this vid and subscribe to the channel. AOR has been a staple in the league racing online community for some margin now, and there have been only good and clean battles from my memory, and I've raced myself in this league. So if you want to see more action and with probably a bigger grid for next year's game, well, next season's game, then you will be in for some good action and good company. And I hope to see you again. Farewell. Have a good one. Ta-da. Cheers.